Good morning everyone, this is the introduction. Our topic today is discuss about the Aristotelian, Galilean, and the Newtonian concept of motion. So, to tell us what is the insight to able to learn for this topic. So, Doc Ablandido, take it away.
For its objectives, these compare and contrast the Aristotelian and Galilean concept of motion, of vertical motion. So, for K objectives, it explains the concept of motion by Aristotle and Galilean and Newton. And when for S is demonstrate a concept of motion by Aristotle. And A display enters a process of understanding its connectivity.
Magandang araw sa iyo, Lamingo. Ngayong araw na ito, aking ibabahagi ang mga bagay o kung ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng vertical at projectile motion na tinalakay ng mga pilosoper na sina Galileo at Aristotle. Ayon kay Galileo, the two major contributions to modern physics were the law of falling bodies and the law of inertia. Inertial motion of an object means that these motions can necessarily be changed by forces acting upon it. At ang gravity correlates all objects daw ay equally regardless sa kanilang masses or ang material na kung saan sila ay ginagawa, and this is a cornerstone of modern physics. Galileo discovered the law of inertia, but he did not name it. We have four types of terrestrial motion. For the first one, alteration, chemical or physical changes. Vertical or natural local motion. Horizontal or violent motion. And the last is celestial motion.
Ayon sa nakalap na balita, philosophically daw ang mga motion na ito ay by their very essence ay different from each other. Ang pinaka-close to each other daw ay ang natural motion at violent motion, habang si Galileo ay kilala sa pagkakaroon ng refuted to early Aristotelian thesis on motion. Previous idea and even experimentation had already been conducted. Dahil dito, mas pinalawak ng mga philosopher ang kanilang kalaman dito upang mailahad ng konkreto ang kanilang pagkakaiba at pagkakatulad sa pamamagitan ng execution, mga halimbawa at iba pa. Balik dyan sa studio.
1. Aristotelian natural motion have largely vertical motion, falling or rising, and violent motion have largely associated with horizontal, hence projectile motion are two motions of distinct nature, and 2. A constant amount of force is needed to be applied to object to keep them moving. Kaningon ako na adri ang duha ka pangunahing ideya no. Nga gikan sa teorya gikan sa teorya sa paglihok ni Aristotle. Nga kan isa ka sinuon ng pilosopong Griego nga naay dako kay nga influensya sa agham tung panahon pa niya. Diri sa ingon na adri ang explanation bawat punto mong paminaw mo. Naay duha ka uri nga paglihok ayon kay Aristotle. First kanang natural nga paglihok or kanang natural motion. Kani kay paglihok nga karaniwang patayo pababa or pataas. Based mo kay Aristotle, ang mga bagay daw kay naay likas nga lugar. So yun, na sila kanang universe ba? O ang ilang mga natural nga paglihok kay padto sa lugar nga ilang sarili. Kumbaga murag nasa sila kon ba? Dumayon nga ilaha. Bawa kanang mga butang nga bato. Pag ihapak di ba nato na mapaubos na madto sila sa yuta. O ang mga gaan pud nga bagay para sa nang aso. Ambaw na kay amigo nga nagarilyo. To si buga niya. Ang aso di ba mo pataas man na. Kumbaga ang aso madto sa himpapawid kumbaga. Moa. O ang sabot to katong mga bato madto sa yuta o ang aso madto sa himpapawid. Sabot to kay ang dumin sa bato ang ilang sariling lugar kay ang yuta ug ang asupod kay sa air sa kanang yung papawid ang mo to yung domain, mo to lang mga domain yuta og kwan, yuta og yung papawid. And second, amo ni ang kwan marahas nga pagliyok or violent motion. Kani nga pagliyok kani siya kanang karaniwang pahalang kariya ng paglihok anang isa ka proyektil. Halimbawa, isa ka bala ipagwas gikan sa pistola og isa ka bula nga gilabay. Ang kana nga motion kay dili na likas jud. Kani may taburan ni siya pag naay panggawas nga persa nga ginalapat or ginabutang sa isa ka butang.
He was able to slow down the fall using ramps rather than viscous materials, as Aristotle did, resulting to significantly different conclusions related to the rate of fall. The use of ramps allowed for a more controlled observation of motion, which led to a precise measurement of the rate of fall, something difficult to achieve with viscous materials. He correctly measured motion in two independent directions, horizontal and vertical, and deduced that the rate of fall is better measured in terms of downward acceleration. By separating motion into horizontal and vertical components, it was possible to analyze each independently, revealing that the vertical motion is governed by a constant downward acceleration, not a rate of fall dependent on weight. Use geometry to provide better description kinematics of projectile motion, whereby horizontal motion has zero acceleration, constant speed horizontally, and constant vertical acceleration. The geometric description of projectile motion established that the horizontal velocity remains constant, zero acceleration, while the vertical acceleration is constant, allowing for accurate predictions of trajectories.
Galileo's experiment of falling bodies kung tawagin niya. Ayon sa kanya, nang tumalon ito mula sa 362 steps sa The Leaning Tower of Pisa, kung saan hinulog niya ang dalawang bula na may magkaparehong bigat, at nung nasa tuktok na siya, inihagis niya ang dalawang bula at malaman kung saan ang unang mahuhulog sa lupa. Even though their weight were not the same, mahulog ang magkasabay ang dalawa. From the experiment, Galileo found that objects fall to the ground at the same rate regardless daw sa kanilang timbang, unless things like air resistance change the rate. According to Aristotle, this idea said that any motion that requires a force is a violent motion. For example, pushing a book along a table or lifting a book. Well, I tried it myself and I saw na talagang sabay-sabay silang nahuhulog sa lupa regardless sa kanilang timbang mula dito sa likod.
So next, we have a violent motion. So Aristotle is defined a violent motion. So as any movement contrary to an object's natural tendency, requiring a continuous external force, push or pull, to persist.
Let's talk about a vacuum. What is vacuum? A vacuum is a space with little to no matter, where gas pressure is much lower than the Earth's atmospheric pressure. So it means a vacuum is a volume of empty of matter, sometimes called a free space. Space that contains little to no matter, resulting in pressure significantly lower than the surrounding atmospheric pressure.
In acceleration, the rate of change of velocity, how quickly speed or direction changes, measured in a uniform acceleration, means this rate stays the sum over time.
The philosophical arguments reduction in absurdum method used by the Galileo in showing that Aristotelian proposal that heavier objects fall at the same rate must be false in that the only possible explanation is that all objects fall at the same rate. Galileo instead showed down that fall using graph by plotting position against time and at the same time increase the slope. One can deduct that resulting rate of all approaches a single value.
So let's talk about Galileo's asserted that objects have a natural tendency to maintain their state of motion, and she initiated the concept of inertia before Newton came up with the law of inertia. For it shows in the motion upon by the external force this laid the groundwork for the concept of inertia, which Newton later formalized as his first law of motion. He's also shown that in the absence of friction resistance, motion continues definitely.
And that is for our long week news. This is Jenimar Lamingo and I'm Gabriel Ablanido.
In the service of the Filipino people, we say, good day and maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan.